Greetings, folks. Let me read a verse for you in Revelation 13. It says here that he had power to give life unto the image. Then in verse 16, it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. That's talking about the Antichrist during the tribulation. Right at the middle of the tribulation, they're going to have a system in place whereby you'll have to have the mark of the beast, what we call the mark of the beast, in order to buy or sell. Not in order to, buy at the grocery store, Walmart, gasoline station. It's a system of control is what it is. And without that mark, you'll not be able to participate in commerce. You'll not be able to buy or sell. There'll be no more cash. There'll be no, of course, there'll be black market. There'll be people, behind the scenes trading goods. I mean, you always got that. But for the most part, if you're going to operate, if you're going to live during the tribulation period at the middle, right at the middle of the tribulation, you're going to have to take that mark if you're going to buy and sell and participate, work a job. If you work a job, you're going to be paid digitally through the mark of the beast system. Going to be pretty amazing. Well, we're going to end the show today. I've got Dr. Hiltibidal in the studio. We're going to talk about some new developments concerning cryptocurrencies, some new developments concerning digital currency, and some things going on in the world and right here in America that we believe are going to lead us right into this. These are exciting days, and so let's get right to it. Don't want you to miss it. All right, crossing the spotlight here, Brother Goodwin and Dr. Hiltibidal with me here. And we're going to share some interesting things about cryptocurrency, digital currencies, and the mark of the beast, and all this stuff that's getting ready to happen that's going to lead us right into the tribulation and then eventually the mark of the beast at the middle. Yes. Doc, some interesting developments.
Yes, sir.
Some articles have come out recently. I'm going to read an article by Britt Gillette in just a few minutes. I've contacted him. I'm hoping maybe he's watching the show. I'd like to talk to him. Maybe we could bring him on sometime. He writes a lot of
good articles. Yes,
I think he writes for Rapture Ready.
I think so. I see
he's
them
on there. But he's written a few books. I haven't got any of his books, but I'd like to see what he has. But I want to start, I think, Doc, by going back in time, back to last year, because we talked about this last year. And in fact, the first article that I want to touch on here, we actually talked about in a prior show several months ago. This is dated July 1st, 2020. So this is way back. This is 7 or 8 months ago we talked about this. But I think it had been out a few months before we came on with it. Here's the title of this article. This is from a lady named Tatiana Kaufman. And the title of this article, July 1st, 2020, is The United States Moves Closer to a Digital Dollar. Mm-hmm. Now, a digital dollar is simply digits on a computer. There's no more cash. And
all electronic.
Yeah. And now we have electronic now, but we're not technically digital. It's it's just there has to be a dollar to back that up somewhere. Here's what she says. On June 30th, 2020, the Senate Banking Committee held a hearing. Now, Trump was still the president.
Yes.
Here. This is 2020. This is before the election. This is June. The Senate Banking Committee, which was obviously led by the Republicans at that time. And they held a hearing on the future of the digital dollar. And I want to say the digital dollar is not here yet, but the future of it. The pressures to create a digital currency are mounting because China recently began testing its own digital currency. And they're concerned about China getting ahead of us here.
Oh, yes.
Because whoever gets out there first could become the leading currency of the world. Just like our dollar, everybody compares their money to the dollar.
Yep.
The Chinese, the yuan is worth how many dollars? The Japanese, the euro dollar is so much of a dollar.
That all goes back to the Bretton Woods. The fact that we were the dominant player winning World War II is what that was all about.
Yeah. And so the dollar has been the dominating, it's been the standard by which all the others.
It's been the standard, yes.
And they want, there's no doubt that the digital dollar is going to take over.
Somewhere or other, it will.
And so America, I'm sure our congressmen are, what they're saying is we got to be first because we got to keep our digital.
In order to
we got to
stay
be
ahead.
the leader here.
Instead of, that's exactly what it's all about.
So distribution issues of the COVID stimulus checks. Now this is June.
Yeah, that's what I say. This was taking place when they were the first stimulus. They wanted to try to get it done then.
They said. She says distribution issues. People weren't getting their money, or they weren't getting it fast enough, or they were afraid to go to the bank because of COVID. So again, this COVID thing's being used for everything.
Oh yes, it's the catalyst for it all.
It is. It's going to lead the world into a world currency. It's going to lead us into the one world leader and
everything.
Yes. So distribution issues of the COVID stimulus checks created new momentum for the digital dollar. Now this is June 2020. She's talking here. Look now. 7 or 8 months later, we're even seeing.
We're getting ready for the third wave of that.
Yeah.
Talked to a lady last night. She said, "Well, I didn't get all of mine the last time." Said 2 of my children didn't even receive one.
Yeah.
So it won't be hard to get people to want something like this.
It is no secret that many are still waiting for their stimulus checks, while $1.4 billion in stimulus was sent to dead people. And I think what she's saying is this will take care of that problem.
It's going to solve a lot of problems. Yeah.
So, and down here there's like an ad for another article. I wish I had this article here, but it says the digital dollar to be in competition with Bitcoin.
Yes.
So that's like a link to another story there. What else did I have here? Senator Tom Cotton was in charge of this meeting. He says the United States needs a digital dollar. The U.S. dollar has to keep earning that place in the global payment system. It has to be better than Bitcoin. It has to be better than a digital yuan, or wuan, whatever you call that. Chairman Mike, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, Republican from Idaho, Crapo?
I don't know.
Crapo? I don't know. Well, that's what a name, huh? He expressed concerns of regulator oversight for stable coins. And I think stable coins, he's talking about cryptocurrency.
Sure.
They're concerned about getting their hand in there and controlling that stuff. And
it's
right
all
now
about,
they can't.
It's all about governmental control.
They haven't figured out how to tax it yet. Now, they're working on that.
Oh, they'll get it figured out. Don't worry.
Let's see. Charles Cascarilla testified advocating for stablecoins, stating that they address the antiquated plumbing of our financial system, as well as a financial inclusion. Blockchain-based stablecoins allow everyone access.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to try to explain blockchain to people. I'm afraid a lot of our older viewers may not know what cryptocurrency is. But I think more and more people are hearing about it.
Blockchain ties it all into the technology.
Yep, it's the system by which it's used and how it keeps track of every transaction, anonymously, but it has a number. But it keeps track of every single transaction. It's really an amazing system.
But the Antichrist is going to have it in order to do what he's going to do.
Well, and that's what I've been telling people. This system that was devised by a guy, we're not even sure who did this.
No. I know who's really behind it, though.
Yeah, it's the perfect system for the Antichrist to rule the world.
That's it. The spirit of Antichrist is what's governing all of this.
The last thing that she says is it is unclear, now this is June 30th, 2020, it is unclear how soon the digital dollar will come into existence, although increasing competition from China may be the push that the regulators needed. And so that pushes you. Now let me read this is from July 3rd, 2020. I just found this. I didn't see this before. July 3rd, this is just a few days after this lady's article. Senate Banking Committee holds hearing on digital banking. I think she's talking about that same meeting. But, or I say she, I'm not sure who wrote this. I'm not sure I see.
But it's of the same system.
Yeah. I don't see a name on this, but I'll just read it anyway. Earlier this week, the U.S. Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs conducted a remote hearing to examine the digitalization of money and payments.
Yeah.
And I highlighted this. This comes as the COVID-19 pandemic has given the United States government another lens to determine the efficacy of digital monetization, as most Americans have had to rely on some form of digital banking during the crisis.
Oh, yeah.
In other words, I can't get out. I can't go to the bank. I can't touch money. I could get the COVID.
Touch that money, you're liable to get somebody's germ.
It's crazy. This COVID thing is compelling everything around us here. One of the main topics of discussion at the hearing was the development of cryptocurrencies. These financial technologies have long claimed the ability to provide faster, less expensive payments on a global scale.
Yes.
With some degree of anonymity.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why a lot of us like it. Said Senator Mike Crapo, again, if that's how I pronounce his name. I apologize if I'm not Crapo, I don't know how you pronounce his name, but a Republican from Idaho. Chairman of the committee. So still there are legitimate questions about certain stablecoins and digital currencies more broadly, such as the degree of oversight. How do we oversee this thing?
Yeah, how do we keep control on it?
Impact on transmission of monetary policy and disruption of banks' traditional financial intermediation. In other words, this is going to might cut the banks out. Yeah. We might not need banks.
Well, they won't like that because they run the world right now.
You and I are convinced that they're going to run this too.
Oh, yes,
to some
they
degree.
will.
Senator Sherrod Brown from Ohio, he said he used the hearing to make the case for legislation he introduced entitled the Banking for All Act. That sounds good, right?
Sounds good.
The Banking for All Act. And here's what he says. Banking for all means this. No more check cashing fees. Mm-hmm. No more paying to use the money you already earn. You know, in other words, if you own a bank, they're telling you can't charge for certain things. Yeah. I mean, talk about getting rid of capitalism. I mean,
that's what
everything's got to be free.
Yeah.
No more paying to use the money you already earned. No more waiting until Wednesday to use the money you were paid on Friday. See, it all sounds good, doesn't it?
It'll always, everything they have is what the people want and what the government wants.
But there will be some strings attached.
Always got big strings
Why
attached.
don't you open up to Revelation 13 while I start this article? Because let's get Revelation in this. Uh-huh. Because it talks about, because Revelation begins talking about Satan's fall. I call it Satan's false trinity. Yep. And in that you see that Satan represents God the Father, the Antichrist represents the Messiah, Christ, and the false prophet is going to be the one world religious leader. We talked about him just a week or two ago, who just had that meeting over there where Abraham was born.
You can see all of chapter 17 and 18 formulating right now.
Yeah. And so he's the third part of that Trinity. He pushes people to the Antichrist.
That's what it's all about.
And but then later on, the passage goes on and talks about the mark of the beast. Let me just read a couple statements here, and then we'll have you read some of those verses, so the audience can put together what we're reading with what God already told us thousands of years ago. Central bank digital currencies are the future of currency. And again, this is an article dated March 18th, 2021, just a few days ago. Mm-hmm. In fact, 2 days ago from the airing of this, the recording of this show, this is Saturday the 20th. Mm-hmm. 2 days ago from today, now I realize this won't air on TV for a few days, but this is recent. This article just come out, caught my attention. A guy named Britt Gillette, / End Times Prophecy. So he has a website. He's written a few books. We're actually trying to see if we can make contact with this gentleman. And here's what he said: central bank digital currencies. He calls them CBDCs, but that's probably more confusing than writing it out. But central bank digital currencies are the future of currency. He's absolutely right. And when they arrive, this is shocking, listen to this. When they arrive, when this system actually becomes used, they'll enslave the entire world.
Yes.
To understand why, you first need to understand what this is, how they serve the vision of those in power, and why they're inevitable. What are central bank digital currencies anyway? What are they? Central bank digital currencies have yet to be launched on a large scale, but advocates envision a government-controlled cryptocurrency,
Yes, sir,
that replaces national currencies. Now, national currencies like the dollar, the yuan, the ruble, those are the national currencies led by the dollar. Our currency is the currency of the world. Everything's compared to the dollar. If anybody in the stock market, if you follow any of this, you'll understand that everything, the yuan rises or falls in relation to the dollar, and vice versa with all the currencies of the world. So what they want to do is replace the dollar and the yuan and the ruble. They want to replace with a digital currency. And I'm not saying they have to do this worldwide all at the same time, but I mean, America could come out with one. And then China could come out with one. And
eventually it's going to become
eventually, it's in fact, if you're going to use it, it's kind of got to be tied together eventually.
It has to be, and it soon will be.
Yes. I mean, because our digital currency is not going to have the same value as China's.
Well, none of our, even though the American dollar is the standard by which, that doesn't mean the American dollar is even the strongest of the others.
Right.
American dollar has been losing against others for quite a while, but it's still the standard by which it's all measured. Yes.
And if I buy something over like if I go to Mexico and I buy something with a credit card, it automatically changes the dollar to the peso. So let me read something else here that he said here. As a replacement for paper currency, this digital currency will serve as the digital equivalent of our paper currency. In other words, our dollar bills will be replaced by a digital number in a digital system. He's got 6 or 7 pages here. We don't have time to read it all, Doc, but why don't we stop right here, and I'll turn the page and I'll be ready to read something else here. Let me say this first. They're going to rely on blockchain, the same technology behind Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other popular cryptocurrencies.
They've been working the bugs out all along.
Yep. And it's a great system. I mean, blockchain, the technology is unbelievable. It tracks every single transaction, whether it's a stick of gum, whatever you buy and sell. And he's going to talk about that in just a second. But how about you go ahead and, let me read this one last paragraph, and then we're going to have you read what God says about the digital one world currency that's coming. Across the world, he says, central banks are openly discussing the introduction of these central bank digital currencies, including England, Canada, China, the European Union, and the United States. So why should we care? What does this matter to us? Because these central bank digital currencies are far different from Bitcoin and other popular cryptocurrencies. Because Bitcoin is decentralized, meaning the government, nobody has control of it.
Yeah.
Nobody, in fact, no one's even real sure who started this thing. If you go back to 2010, but I don't know if you've ever heard the story of the guy who bought a pizza. It had just come out. Bitcoin was worth like 0.008 cents. It wasn't even worth a penny. This guy gave 10,000 Bitcoins for a pizza in 2010. Do you know that 10,000 Bitcoin that he gave is now worth, right now, $600 million. What an expensive pizza that is.
Yeah, it was.
So, what they're saying is that this decentralized thing, Bitcoin's not controlled by anybody. Nope, so they can't manipulate anything.
Right.
It's fair. It's everybody gets in and out. It's worth what it's worth. Nobody can manipulate it. Nobody can get in there and mess with it. But this one's not going to be like that because the Antichrist couldn't control it if he couldn't get in there. And we know. So Bitcoin is decentralized. No single authority controls it. In contrast, central banks will operate, regulate, and control these central bank digital currencies. Well, the government, whatever they do is done, they can do it better, right?
Yeah, they got to have control over it.
Yeah, and the government, everything they touch goes bad.
Yeah.
I mean, As you'll soon see, the simple distinction is the difference between a libertarian's dream and every citizen's nightmare.
That's going to be the nightmare.
The libertarian loves the freedom, but this freedom has a string attached.
Yes,
the government
big string.
has their hand in this.
Yeah.
And by the way, and I'm sure we'll get to it here, the government can shut you off. They could shut off your account if they think you're dealing drugs and just
They do the same thing.
Or if you're speaking out on social media against them, they can shut you. This is what's happening
China
now.
has already proven they've got the system.
Yeah.
Microsoft's working with them, so same process they do.
They have a social system where they grade you by,
and they'll do the same thing with this monetary
They grade
system.
you by what kind of stuff you buy and how vocal you are about issues that they don't like.
And if you don't spend your money, they may take it out against you.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a good time for you to share with the audience a couple of verses about this.
Well, the Antichrist, whenever he's at the middle of the tribulation period, the Bible says the system that we call the mark of the beast is, he says in verse 16, he said, he, that's the Antichrist, causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in the foreheads, and that he might, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And then he goes on to say, here is wisdom. I think that's what you're talking about. Let him that understandeth count the number of the beast, for it is a number of a man, and the number is 666. So the Lord said you need to be wise about it. I think you can tell we're headed that direction. Yeah. This is not the mark of the beast, but this is the road to it.
Right. And when it's instituted, and we believe it's right at somewhere around the middle of the tribulation, it's going to be the only way you can buy and sell.
It's the only way.
And I think I alluded in the preview that we did earlier, not only that, but if you work a job, you're going to be paid with this.
You're going to be paid with it.
So there's no more cash payments. There's no more hiring a kid to mow your grass and give him a...
And if you don't spend it the way the government thinks you ought to spend it, they can take it out of your account, do whatever they want to with it.
Now, let me read a little more here. How central bank digital currencies give unprecedented power to the government. Here's what he says. In the future, you'll own nothing and be happy. So says Klaus Schwab.
Yeah.
Remember him?
Back to the World.
The World Economic Forum. He keeps popping up everywhere, doesn't he?
He sure does.
And he's the executive chairman of that. They have meetings all the time. And we did a show about that. And they believe the COVID-19 is pushing us right in, and it is.
It is.
The fact that a year later everybody's running around with masks on
they
tells
keep
me
it. They keep the fear factor up enough. They got the world mad,
brainwashed. Schwab's vision is one shared by many of the world's wealthiest and most powerful people. They envision a world where you own nothing. But this begs the question: if you own nothing, who owns everything? The answer is simple: they do.
That's it.
So how do they intend to make their vision a reality? They'll do it through an event called the Great Reset. We did a show on that, the Global Reset. We were way ahead of this. And the Global Reset. And since 1900 alone, we've had 4 global monetary systems. You mentioned one of these a minute ago. The gold standard, the gold exchange standard, the Bretton Woods, I think that's the one you mentioned, and then the U.S. dollar. We don't want to get into all this too deep and confuse everybody, but right now we're under the world is under the gold, basically the dollar fiat system.
It's a fiat
Everything's
system.
kind of compared to the
dollar.
dollar.
It's all based on the promise of the government now.
Yeah, so no wonder everybody lends us money. We're the kingpin of it all anyway.
That's right.
If we go under, the whole world goes with us, I think.
Yeah, that way they all come up in socialism.
So it's each of these systems, he claims, lasted about 40 years. He says the last one that we're on now, the fiat dollar, has been 50 years. He says it's
time for a reset.
It means it's overdue for a new global monetary system. Voila, here we are.
Here we are, and it's headed that way.
In all likelihood, it will feature central bank digital currency as its core. So governments will gain unprecedented power over individuals. That's really what it's all about, isn't it?
That's for them.
Power. Under such a system, private bank accounts will disappear. Everyone will have an account with the central bank. Unlike paper money, nothing will be private. Everything you do will be in the system.
No way to hide it.
Visible to the government who oversees that. they'll argue, well, that's good, we'll catch the drug user.
And if he didn't do it right, well, we deduct this much from his account.
Yep. Paper currency first needs to be eliminated. We're moving toward that goal now. The pandemic is accelerating that trend. 3D desktop printing technologies are soon to create money that can't be
tell
detected.
the
difference. They'll have to get rid of currency. Here we go. We're ready for the crypto dollar.
Technologies involved in all of this.
All right. With such technologies, counterfeiters will flood the world. Perfect copy. They'll have to get rid of it. They'll quickly do away with physical currency, and all all transactions will go digital.
Yep.
And will be tracked. Governments will make sure that it's simple and easy for everyone. You'll simply launch a campaign to claim your digital wallet. And to incentivize people, they'll put some money in it for you. So when you go to your digital wallet, you'll have 10,000 digits in it, whatever.
They've already got them programmed to go that route.
Yeah, kind of like Vote For Me. We'll give you a new cell phone. You know, they bribe you.
Yep.
Once everyone's on board, they'll eliminate paper money. And that'll be it. In other words, you'll trade your paper money in for digital currency.
Well, our educational system has programmed them for socialism.
They'll be able to track you everywhere you go. Everyone will be dependent on this central bank system. No more cash, no more money under the bed, hidden under your bed, that kind of stuff.
Won't do you any good. Won't be able to spend it.
They can freeze your account if they see a problem with you. And of course, like you're not politically correct, they can freeze your account. Yeah. I'm hurrying here because I want to get to the end before we run out of time. For example, China has a social credit system where they grade what kind of person you are. And, you can just see where this will head here in America. I mean, just look at what's going on already with Facebook and Twitter.
This is global, not just America. Yes.
They'll see if you buy guns. You go to the gun shop and you use your currency to buy guns. They'll have record of that. You'll become. If you buy too many guns in a week,
you're a terrorist.
There'll be somebody visiting your house.
Yep.
This is serious stuff.
Absolutely.
And lastly, I had to skip some of this, but the Bible foretold all this, didn't it?
Yep.
The mark of the beast is coming. It's almost here. The system is here. This whole cryptocurrency thing, I told my son when we first heard about cryptocurrency, I said, this is the system the Antichrist will use.
It is.
And it is. And I think eventually they'll have to get rid of the cryptocurrency. I think what they'll do is they're going to find people. They're going to make it against the law to buy and sell cryptocurrency. And they can't stop you from doing it, but if you get caught, there'll be the
but all they got to do is just take it out of your account. You don't have it.
Basically, that'll end it because nobody wants to go to jail.
That's it.
All right. Well, in a nutshell, Doc, that's what's going on.
We're there. We're at the end of all things.
Yeah. And we can see the religious systems here, the political systems here, and the financial system is here.
And technology is the tool.
Yeah. All right, on that note, we got to get off here. Go to the website, check us out, and if we can help you in any way, contact us. But until then, keep your eyes on the sky.